And I'm going to talk about the virtues of having a sink of soapy water, hot soapy water, so you can keep things cleaned up as you work. Here it is. The dough is all mixed up by hand. It really wasn't that hard today. You just have to keep turning it over. And now I'm going to put flour on the, sprinkle flour all over the countertop. And then put the dough out here, roll it out, and put the date mixture on it. So I've got the dough turned out on the board again, the countertop, and notice that you have to keep flour underneath it, so when you want to pick it up, you'll be able to do that. And I'm going to roll it out, and probably about 1/4 of an inch or a little more, and then spread the mixture on top. I think this is the thickness I wanted, and I just decided to get out a yardstick and see about how long it was in case you wanted to know. And so I would say it's about 23, 24 inches. If you get it any longer than that, you're going to have that dough way too thin. Remember, I was very generous in how much dates and stuff I mixed together. So if you don't get real generous, if you get so you want to be a little more economical with it, you're going to have a little harder time spreading it out because it'll be a lot thinner. And you will see the dough underneath it. Now this is still warm, and some of the pecans are whole, as you can see right there. Maybe you can't see, but anyhow, they will get cut when I cut the dough into pieces for cookies. So I'm going to spread it with this spatula or this. This is what I usually use, and get right up to the corners with this. And then I'll roll it up using the same tool. Now watch what happens here. When I take this spatula and spread this out, I'm hoping this is focused enough you can see, it's going to want to make the dough underneath move somewhat. And so if you happen to roll it out way too thin, then when you pressure the date mixture on it, it's going to get even thinner. I'm having a little trouble doing this because I can't see what I'm doing right now. But it does, in fact, want to move it out a little bit. So don't roll it too thin. So here you have it with the date mixture to the corners of the dough. And I'm going to start to roll it up now. I don't know how much of this I can do with one hand. Let me see if I can see what I'm doing here. Kind of encouraged it with the other spatula there to get a little flour underneath it. Don't worry about having too much flour here because it's going to be very, very, very rich and very, very, very moist. Okay, so kind of just keep working it and tucking it in. And I'm going to do this now without the camera, and I'll show you the final result. So I'm making progress here. You can see it's quite a bit rolled up. I just keep kind of working with my hands as I do it. You know, when you get it to this point, you can kind of just pull it over and gently encourage it to keep coming. Oh, it's nice and warm here. It's incredible. You know, and if it gets to have a hole or something, you just kind of put it back together. So I'm going to be at the end here, and I'll be bringing this part up to the top of it, and kind of pinching it off, pinching it together. And you can take the ends and kind of do that with them. And that's what I did down here, is kind of bring them in a little bit. All right. I'm a very tactile person. I like to feel stuff. I like the feel of it. You know, all this dough stuff reminds me of clay. I don't really work with clay anymore. I used to teach art, and I took ceramics, you know, and that kind of thing. And then I taught it, and so I always had ceramics going on in my class. But also when I was a kid, I took pie making one summer and really dealt with the dough there. So I really, you know, there's a feel about things, and you know if it's right by the way you feel it because you've done it several times. So you need to do things several times to develop that. Okay, so I'm going to cut it in probably 3 pieces and put it in the fridge. You can see I've turned it over, rolled it over, because the attaching part is on the other side now. And I just kind of kept, you know, working it with my hands to make it into a nice log. And I'm going to cut it now in thirds because that's a good length right there. And then I will wrap each third in wax paper and yeah. And then put it in the refrigerator for a couple hours, and we'll bake it this evening, and we'll have a couple cookies tonight. This will be all done in one day. And here again, I want to emphasize, when I work with dough and things like that, I never wear any jewelry. I always wear an apron, and I don't wear any jewelry. As I get it on the wax paper or parchment paper or whatever you have, you know, it's going to deform. And so then I take one hand over here and the other hand over here, which I can't demonstrate right now because I have one hand doing something else, and just kind of reshape it. And in the process, I had really, really big cookies coming out of this. I think I've got them a little slenderer. Like over here, this is really pretty wide. I'll thin that out before I get it all on the paper. So there you have them. They're all sitting on this flat board because they're hard to move. And I'm going to put them in my refrigerator. I could just as well put them in my freezer and do them a couple days from now or whatever, a longer time than that. But I want to bake them tonight, but I can't cut them like this. They have to be pretty solid. So they will be in here for probably 3 to 4 hours, and then I'll take them out one by one and one roll by, you know, at a time, and cut them and bake them. So there they are in the refrigerator, ready to get solid. Well, I've taken the longest one out of the refrigerator. It's been about 4 hours. And I've put this parchment paper over here. We'll be putting the cookies on there as time goes on. I'm going to be cutting these on this cutting board and putting them on the cookie sheets. So now we've got them pretty well cut. You can see they're about, oh, I don't know, a little over a fourth, maybe a half inch in thickness. Let's look at this. What do you think? I'm going to put them on here. And we're going to put them in the oven at about 370 for however long it takes. So that's how I cut them. The cookies, I was always taught that it would go faster if you had 2 different levels. And so this one's been down here for a little while. And they're raised. Now if I leave them here too long, that kind of the theory is, the bottoms will get too brown. So then I put them on a higher level for a few minutes and go over here and get the other pan and put it on the bottom level. Oops, there's 2 pans there. Put it on the bottom level. There we go. See my dirty oven. And shut the door. Whoops. And I'll come back in a few minutes and get the top one out. So we're all done with this for the day, I'm happy to say. And I want to call your attention to the fact that, as they say, when anything is done homemade, you're going to have all kinds of irregularities. So you have the little ones, you know, that were at the end or whatever. Some that were at the end look a little funny. And then you have some lighter ones. So the only thing left to do, and I'm going to eat this little one, is to see how they taste. Very good. And you might want a cup of coffee to go with that. Bon appetit.